Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Unscripted. Today I got Craig Durr with me from Collab Collective. Craig. Oh, Craig, you're in the shot. How's it going?
Wait. Oh, wait, there you are.
Yeah, there.
Nathan, how are you doing?
Doing great. Hey, lots has changed in your world since we talked last. In fact, you were on Unscripted.
I think it's 4.
Was it 4? It was 4, right after ISE, right?
I wanted to be part of the, it was the momentum of Unscripted. You've been doing great with this. I've really enjoyed the episodes. It's a lot of fun.
It's been a lot of fun. I've had a lot of great speakers. The whole premise of this was interesting because we started saying, hey, there's all this great stuff happening out in the world, like at ISE. So we had a lot of our partners show up. And then we just kept going, and it kind of evolved into its own thing. So thanks for being on. Since you've had a lot of changes in your personal life, especially around Collab Collective, talk about a little about what you're trying to do with your new company, because it's really, really exciting.
Yeah, ISE was what, January of last year. As of June, around the time of InfoComm, I actually branched out on my own and started a new analyst firm called the Collab Collective. The name kind of has a double entendre. It's not just about focusing on the collaboration industry, but it's about the idea of making this truly into a partnership between the vendors, the channel, the end customers, and myself. And the collective part kind of leans into the idea that it's a whole ecosystem, a whole village of people that I have helping me and supporting me. Not only helping with some of that strategic consulting work that I've done in the past to clients internally, but also helping them reach more people. So leaning more into video assets, digital assets. I've been doing a lot more executive interviews. You and I had a great time doing a show floor walk, InfoComm,
That's right.
which was a really exciting video. So really kind of breaking down these barriers and getting out of the ivory tower that some analysts have traditionally been in and making the content approachable and enjoyable, hopefully, for people. I mean, we're all human. People enjoy talking to and buying from other people, and that's what I intend to do.
I like it. You've had so many different mediums you're trying. You've got the coffee piece, right? And the Collab Coffee, what's it called?
Yeah, the Collaboration Cafe. So here's the backstory behind that is my wife actually owns a series of coffee shops. And I sat there in her shop as I was brainstorming the business plan for this new idea. And I turned to her and I said, this is exactly what I need to do. I want to sit down with people as if I was talking over a cup of coffee. And I want to be able just to get to know them. Again, the idea that people engage in business with people that they like, it's truly over a cup of coffee. And each episode is named after the coffee that the guest orders. Yeah, so the first one was Americano. The second one, because he had to up it a little bit, he did a double Americano.
That's right.
The next one is Cafe Latte, and I was in Europe, so it was Cafe Latte. So it's a lot of fun. We got that, and then we're also doing Let's Talk Collaboration in partnership with UC Today. If you know them, they have great distribution. And that idea is we're talking to people that are in that great position between the end users and the people providing the technology. So usually it might be an executive like a CTO or CIO. It may also be a partner. Our mutual friend, Danny Hayasaka, was one of my first guests on there. And if we can talk collaboration, what would you tell end users? What are some of the things you would want to educate them about? And if we can talk collaboration, what would you tell some of those vendors? So the idea is to help bridge that conversation taking place.
That's awesome.
It's worked out well. There's some great people on there. Actually, you were just at an AVI SPL event, and I had the lead from there, what they call their XTG, Experience Technology Group. And they do those large spaces, those high impact spaces, which I think we're going to talk about. It was a lot of fun to talk to Mark.
Yeah, I love the media. Keep doing what you're doing. I think there's a lot of great value in that. I also like how you keep changing the different shapes and sizes of the videos, trying to experiment with what doesn't. I'm still stuck on the no vertical video. It'll probably change. I keep saying that, but I just like 16:9. I should have just called the channel 16:9 only.
That's actually a great idea, because you know what? That would just totally brand it what it should be. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is great. We got more space to deal with now. It's not just the single box on top of box idea.
I mean, I guess if you're on the phone, it makes more sense. I mean, now we're split or super tiny, right? All right, so at InfoComm, we were on a panel together. You led the panel on high impact spaces. There's a lot of people talking about it. There's a lot of meanings to it. What do you think about high impact spaces and how are customers adopting it today?
Yeah, so let's make sure we have that same identity, because you have a great audience across this, which, I mean, you've had some great HR people and stuff like that. We're talking about shared spaces that people use in the office, and it goes from everything from the small, medium, and large room. On the farther end, there's even focus rooms or telephone booth. And then you have those large rooms. I call them sometimes snowflake rooms because they're so unique, each one. It might be a boardroom, that has not in terms of layout, but unique technology needs. It might be a town hall. It might be something on that edge that requires a lot of stuff. But the reason why these are high impact spaces is because typically high impact meetings with high impact speakers take place. You have the chairperson of the board, you have the CEO, whoever he or she may be. You might have a presentation to a large audience in a town hall format. High impact spaces are where you have high value message you're trying to deliver to an audience, both in the room and remotely. So high quality audio, video, camera control comes into play there. And that's what we talked about. As actually, I think what we see taking place in the UC world is there's great partners like Microsoft and Zoom adding more value and focusing on those as growth ideas. If you think about Zoom Intelligent Director, started off with multi-cameras around the room and enabling that environment. They have their 3-monitor setup also as well, which really helps in terms of those large rooms. And then Teams is also doing similar by building out partnerships with people that are able to do multi-camera solutions. I think in that panel, we called them inside out, meaning people that are pairing a center of table camera with the front of room camera. And then we talked about outside in, which are people kind of having multiple cameras around the perimeter of the people looking in. And we kind of dissected the idea of what was the best use case for some of those. So that's the setup for it.
That's cool. And there's so many ways to do this now. So there's the physical aspect, right? The physical cameras in different places. But then there's also the software. There's the AI built into the technology that can frame and get the right people into the right frame at the right time. And then also the back end, like with Microsoft in terms of Copilot and Teleframe, and then Zoom with Smart Gallery. I mean, there's so many names for this now, unfortunately.
Yeah, isn't it crazy?
It is.
I know.
It is hard to dissect it all, I will tell you. So if you're a customer trying to explore it all, it's challenging because there's just so many different ways to do it.
And that's it. And here's one of those great things. Traditionally, the more cameras you add into a room, the more expensive the technology is. And so you want to make sure you get your value out of it. Yeah. So where the AI plays is, think of high impact rooms as having 2 types of use cases. You might have a highly produced situation where you must get that shot. And so you might go back to what's called broadcast controls, where you allow a camera person or someone behind a control, make sure I'm always zoomed in on Nathan because he's the most important speaker and I want to make sure he's following. But then again, that room may just have a more regular meeting where it doesn't need that broadcast control. How do you take full advantage of that? And that's where some of these AI features, some of the intelligent video comes into play. If I can build into the camera the ability to follow whoever's key speaking, if I can build into the camera the ability to make sure I properly zoom and reframe, like as my lights just got dark here, I guess I had a shadow go in the window there. That actually adds the opportunity for these rooms to be used more broadly. And so this gear that is a little bit more costly than just a single bar gets more value out of it. Now, I think that's what's really exciting is the AI around video and audio that's built into the endpoint, into the edge. It's what I call applied AI, is increasing exponentially, and it's getting better and better and better.
The AI models are getting really, really good right now. And there's also this interesting confusion around, do you want to have all the highest end features or do you need it to actually frame? And it kind of depends on who's doing it, right? So we have, the way I look at it, there's 2 levels of the AI, and that's not that's something I just made up and I keep telling people about it. Because it's okay, it just to be fair, right? Because there's nothing that really explains it well. So, when we do the AI as an example, where, you come into a room, so Craig walks into the room and you're not Craig. We don't know you're Craig. We're not going to go identify you. We're basically saying, okay, this is an object that looks like a human being. And you become a human object. So it's an oval shaped head and a torso. That's how we know where you're
eyes. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's step 1. And then step 2, we look at artifacts, like your eyes are artifacts, your nose is an artifact, your ears are artifacts. And when we start framing in a simple sense, we're basically looking for the artifacts along with your head and torso. And that's how we kind of put you into a box, right? That's step 1.
Except for the situation where I start talking and I fade up. Sorry.
And then the second part of it is what we do in smart switching, where we're now looking at angles. So when you're turning your head, can the AI see both ears? Can they see both eyes? Can they see part of a face? So then you're like, okay, that's not the best shot. And it goes to the other 4 cameras, in some cases 6 cameras, right? It's just going to increase over time. And then we try to figure out which is the best shot, right? So we're trying to figure out which is the best shot, not of Craig, which is the best shot of the human object that it's tracking. Yeah. I want to be very clear on that, because if you leave the room and go get a cup of coffee and come back, you're a new object. If you pick up the call and you join another call, you're a new object, right? We don't know who you are. We don't want to know. And
Right.
the key point in this, though, is where you kind of get into the cloud-based AI, which Microsoft does and Zoom AI and Google as well with Gemini does, is then they're identifying your face, your voice with speaker attribution. But to get there, you have to have really good audio to understand who is speaking actually at that one point in time, to transcribe properly and do the attribution and everything else, name tags. And then also the video. You have to have really good video to go do the face match, right, in the cloud. So
And don't forget, you also have the opt-in need as well too with these
absolutely.
backend systems
Sorry.
as well too,
Between them
right?
is sandwiched in where the company has to opt in first of all, right? To
Yep.
do that kind of thing. And then the employee can choose not to. Like I could just go in and say, I'm not going to opt for my face or my voice. I don't want any of that stuff. So you'll get person A, person B said so-and-so. I want to have a name tag and my name want to be on it. So it's really up to the end user to opt in. And I think that should always be the way it needs to go. So there's like maybe 2.5 levels, maybe perhaps.
No, I agree. But I think what you're talking to right now is some of those pros and cons of the AI on the edge and AI in the cloud.
Absolutely.
And bringing it back around to this high impact room space, when you have some of those opportunities in these rooms where you can have more decisive changes taking place in the room, I think you have a more powerful story. Now, what is helpful is that the UC products industry is learning more and more from the AV industry. So we start having rules being applied more regularly. It's great. Our mutual friend, Patrick Kelly, did a video where he was educating everyone on the rule of thirds. And this is something I've known for years. You and I have been joking about it, but trying to get my eye level right here in the third of the frames, yours as well too, and make sure we're positioned within the middle third there. But there's other production rules that people learn in broadcast or AV. One of them is called easing. So that's the idea that a camera, as it's changing to get to you, actually slows up the motion as it zooms in. Because what it does is it allows more cognitive recognition of what's taking place. If the movement was all one speed and kept doing this, it looks very mechanical.
Sure.
You start getting this cognitive overload. So what easing is literally, it's easing the speed of the camera as it comes in to where that. So it allows for you to have a more seamless cognitive appreciation of that changes taking place. If I'm moving around the room, for example, and those technologies are getting better and better on the edge is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, there's so many forces kind of working at the same time. So it's kind of hard to figure it out sometimes. I did a podcast with a couple of people who had auto framing turned on, and man, you can't do that in a podcast because it's moving like constantly. Please turn it off. And then apparently the software crashed his Mac, and then we basically had to get him a new Mac to do the podcast. So there are a lot of issues like that. Some good things that come out of it, but you need to turn it off.
You know what's interesting, and I'm speculating out loud here. I wonder if this will take place. You and I both create content, and we start appreciating some video techniques taking place. You know, there's a video technique in content right now where people are actually having impact by having someone slightly off skew talking to the camera. And you notice this in content, where it might be a multi-camera shot, and what they're doing is going between camera A and camera B. Or it might be camera B that's focused in on the audience receiving the information.
Yeah.
I think that might be the next level of what might be some applied AI on those endpoints. I don't know. It depends on, you'd have to label it as something. You have to label it as, I don't know what you want to call it, studio effect or something like that someone would turn on. But knowingly, if I was in an all hands meeting and I had my CEO doing a fireside chat with someone, well, wouldn't that be cool if I could really automate those camera A, camera B switches and even get some really impactful scenes where I feel like I might be looking over his shoulder talking to the audience or something like that too. It'd be kind of cool to add that additional intelligence to the endpoint as well.
Like, I mean, honestly, when you have someone physically with a switcher doing it for a production, I was actually talking to another podcast, which will have come out soon, Michael Torriello from Condé Nast, one of our customers.
Oh yeah.
You know, they do high production environments because they're shooting media and they're doing it all remotely. So he's experimenting with NDI cameras. And of course, I actually had 3 Mevo Core cameras set up in NDI mode. And then I'm like, no one wants to see the side of my head and the front and the back. Like the back is really nothing to look at. So, you know, so I went back to one camera and I might try that, but it's just in a podcast with 2 people, it doesn't seem useful. With one person, absolutely. In fact, as you know, I have a motorized slider, and with some of the videos that I've shot, it's kind of like, you know, I'm talking and then you have the thing going back and forth. Yes. The problem with that, Craig, is then you have to edit it all together.
I know.
And I'm like trying to do it as simple as possible, one take, and we're done, right?
Yep.
So there's not going to be much editing here in this video.
So I lean back on you. Sorry again. Get my head bigger. It's a great technique. I think the audience out there is becoming more aware of that. But a single talking head on a video, for example, I do another bit that I call the modern work pulse. And these I do about once a week. And these are somewhere about a 3-minute take on a recent topic. So I just did one on Apple and some new technology that came out. I did one also about Amazon. But to have me just talk to you like this, especially if you're looking at LinkedIn, can get boring. So I add some more techniques. I do some what I call zip zoom. Yes, like snap zoomed in. So it might change the perspective.
I love it. It looks really.
Yeah. What he does is he does the mirroring of this. And so he'll change the background a little bit. You'll notice him too.
Yeah, that's true.
But what you're noticing, and as you get more of a trained eye, is that people delivering content are becoming aware of not becoming so monotonous. And visual cues like that help with that. So that's where great things like lower thirds or additional weatherman type supported content helps in this space as well too. It's fun. And I invite your audience to give me feedback and you, because I am constantly learning. The way somebody explained it to me, and I love this, I will share everything I know, but I want to just say I'm 10%. I'm 10% ahead of that person behind me. And if I can share enough with that person to help them in that gap and I'm growing, we all win. I don't claim to know it all. I'm learning it, but it's fun to share.
I think we're all in the same boat. I mean, there's so many great YouTubers out there that we're learning from. And oh my God, we keep mentioning Patrick Kelly. I'm like, we should have probably had him on this podcast. His new studio looks amazing too.
Doesn't it? I saw that. Yeah. Yeah. You've had him on here before, actually, right?
Last season, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, frankly, we got a great community in the UC space of content creators, mutual friends like Chris Netto does super well on social media, especially Twitter. Tom Arbuthnot, he's great leveraging his Microsoft expertise and bringing it in a newsletter. He's got content that he does on his website as well too. And other peers in other companies like Neil Flooster does some great things where he's hitting up, at these events and shows. In fact, I just saw him doing some UC Expo things live here earlier today.
You weren't in London, right?
No. I guess I just dated this video. I probably shouldn't have said that. Earlier, I saw him do UC Expo. So it's good stuff.
That's awesome. So just before we conclude, what's going on in the industry? It's been a kind of an interesting year, right? We had some ups, we had some downs, very similar to last year, but it seems like, at least, from where we stand, it seems like things are getting better, but it's not massive growth, right? It's getting better slowly. And it's different in different industries. Knowing, of course, it is an election year. We get that part. Things always slow down towards the end. But what are you seeing customers doing right now?
I'll share 2 thoughts on that, and then hopefully we can get to some fun technology ideas if you let me still talk about that. In our specific industry, looking at group-enabled video spaces, I say ours or this particular one here, we saw Q2 was actually an increase over Q1, but if you look at year over year, we're back at probably a 0 to 1 to 2% growth rate. So the gist of it is we are basically year over year flat. Now there's some change taking place in the mix. I think we can talk about preference of types of devices, like Android-based devices or PC-based devices might be shifting. But that's okay, because I think last year ended in a tough spot for some people. So what I guess I'm saying is we seem to be truly getting to a point of stability. And I just did a forecast looking forward for the rest of the year. And I think we're still going to have some modest growth, but we're going to have to pick it up in Q3 and Q4. Now we have AI-enabled feature sets, and they're very powerful. But the question that a CIO or CTO is going to probably be asking is it going to grow the business or is it maintaining the business? And that's where I think we have to think about.
That's a really good assessment of what's happening. I agree 100%. What are these new technology ideas you had?
Well, I told you, you and I were joking about the Apple phone. I'm like talking about the Apple iPhone
Tell me,
16.
because I haven't even tried. I have a 16 Pro and I haven't even tried it. So I want to know about it.
I did a quick piece on the Modern Work Pulse about this. If you guys want to find it, it's posted on LinkedIn. The idea was this. Everyone was focused on the camera and said, the camera's got no feature set. It's improving the camera incrementally. It's doing some processor. And they're right. And what people started to focus in on was the Apple AI piece called visual intelligence. So some people saw that and said, aha, that's the moment. And that's the idea that I can take my camera, walk down the street and take a picture of a building, and the visual intelligence, as I brand it, will use AI, identify that building, identify what business I'm pointing at, maybe show me the menu of if it's a restaurant, maybe show me business hours. So it's using visual data sources and then pulling out information as opposed to doing a prompt, right?
I mean, I get the AI part of this, but haven't we seen this with augmented reality at some point?
Well, there is some elements of doing overlay. This is where it gets really interesting. Back to our space. Visual intelligence, which says I can see a space and all of a sudden I start getting contextual information about it, is pretty cool. That's the idea that we've always talked about. I walk into a meeting room and the meeting room knows that it's Craig and it's going to launch the right meeting and everything else. It's identified me. It might pull up that right agenda, there's meeting artifacts and what have you. What Apple also spent a lot of money investing in was spatial compute. Their Apple Vision. No one wants to wear one of those, but remove the hardware for a moment and take the idea of visual intelligence combined with spatial compute. You start getting this idea or the precursors of this whole Minority Report idea. I mean, you and I could be Tom Cruise in a room swiping visual ideas, but at the point in time that the compute takes place on the walls and around us, and it's not devices we're wearing or looking at, we can start having contextual information in a business environment. It can walk up and say, this is the meeting based upon the visual intelligence. And then spatially, I can compute with it.
Yeah.
I can start saying, I need to pull up this report. What happened in this last meeting? Give me all the summaries that take place. Things you might do on your laptop in a meeting like this, but now within a physical space. But if you play it further, it can get really even exciting and interesting. What if you can use this in terms of interactive learning experiences? And now I'm starting to see these Star Trek moments where Captain Kirk is taking a beach vacation while he's still on the deck of the starship, but he comes back in. But frankly, imagine doing children education.
Sure.
Not only could they actually see visually around them, maybe the Roman Empire, but that spatial computing can allow them to interact with it on a one-on-one basis and ask questions. What is that person wearing? What is happening over here with that conflict? Or go to the Crusades. Why are they fighting here? And you start getting this individual idea. Now it's still forward looking and there's still the burden of the space. But at the point in time that you remove the hardware, I think this is the hidden gem that Apple's working on. Visual cues that can pull up information combined with the ability to interact with it. Visual AI, spatial compute. And when they come together, think about this in our meeting rooms or environments. It's like this could take that collaboration room, that war room, and totally blow it up.
I mean, I was just thinking, like, you walk into an office and just, like, I don't know, 100 rooms that you're walking by, and you can't see the statuses of all the rooms, but you could just do that, right? And it'll tell you which ones you want to book, and you can just click on it and it books the room for you. I mean,
you should give that feature to your reservations software team.
That's exactly.
You should give that to them, right?
Yeah,
you got it.
I've told the world about it, so now we have to do it really quickly.
Well, with the world, we've already applied for the patent. Nathan and I have patent, and
before I release it, maybe we'll apply for the patent. We'll do that. I'll have to give some credit to you. I'm starting to wonder. We talked about so many things today, and I'm like, what do I call this? I feel like I need to call it the episode we talked about Patrick Kelly the most.
No, you know what it is? Keeping Craig within the box, both visually and both oriented.
I was totally expecting you to just jump out of the box at some point, and you didn't do that. So thanks for that. Did you just get us?
I had afternoon coffee. We're not on topic, but hopefully we covered a lot of great stuff. I hope it was fun for you.
No, we did. It was. I'm sure everyone's gonna love it. So thank you so much, Craig. Thanks again for being on. All right, folks, that is it. We had a really great time today with Craig Durr. See you next time on Unscripted.